Wouldn't it be
Probably
nice
not,
though
no.
if Cloud9 could sit there and buy Steel out of prison? In that sense, like Valve, just please allow him. We will pay. That'd be a dream fucking
Yeah, I
world for
mean,
us to live in.
to be fair, dude, it's like Valve are racking up money on CS:GO like in
By
fucking
doing
insane
nothing.
numbers. So
It's
yeah,
just sat
yeah,
there.
exactly. It's just like
Just one thing quickly, like on that concept, Banks. That,
Yes.
like I know you're not saying it like in a malicious intent, but a lot of people in the community will say this, and they say, "Oh, Valve does nothing. You know, they don't really contribute." Just to think about Valve and their model, and the more I think, the more I talk to other people, I definitely think they should do more in certain regards. But it's also, you think about how Counter-Strike got to the point it's in today. Anyway, it was a community-driven and community-grown thing. Yeah. And you think about it, if they put both their hands deep into this thing and they really take control over it, we might actually lose all those things that I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Look at models of games that are completely driven by the game developer. You've got Riot,
Like shit
with
games
League of
like
Legends.
Overwatch.
You've got Overwatch, for example, with Blizzard, who are just, you know, scaring non-endemic sponsors away from our industry potentially forever.
Yeah.
So you have all of
wasting
these
money.
things. Yeah, which are scary prospects. Now, do I think that Valve should, you know, do something about the anti-cheat? Yeah, but are more people just going to make more cheats? Yeah, that's not the right attitude to have. But what I mean is, Valve are really efficient with their time. Valve are very efficient with what they do. Now, there's lots of. I would love it if we had an operation, you know, every 3 months. I would love it if we had a more defined calendar with major windows. Those kind of things. They're still quite hands off, right? Because the rest of those things are still controlled. Sure, the fucking operation thing, they have to make the content. That's a lot of work. But I think that'd be really cool to stimulate our newer viewers. But Valve, like. Think about the best esports in the world, and I don't really give a fuck about your internal biases here. There are several esports in the world that have been around for a very long time. StarCraft 2 is like up and down because it depends on how Blizzard want to shit the bed with that game. But you think about StarCraft 1 and how long that stayed alive just because of Korea.
But that was also because Blizzard didn't fucking put their hands on it.
Yeah, Dota is another one. Dota was literally a modification, and so was Counter-Strike, of a different game. And then we, like as a community, are the reason these games are the most popular games in the world. It's not because we have a game developer fucking straddling us and fucking us every night. It's
I
because
prefer what we have now. Like
Yeah,
what I
me
was
too.
saying is definitely not that I want them to fucking jump in and do like they're doing nothing. I think actually we've had the best couple of years from Valve in quite a while, right? Look at they're even having a bit of fucking meme phone interaction on Twitter. I know that doesn't do anything for the game itself, but I mean at least they're fucking engaging with us. At least they're involved. Just look at some of the changes that are going on now of economy. We had a fucking whole like 30-minute debate on it because we care so much about it, but they're not doing things that completely fuck our game. Like Blast just played with that system and it didn't destroy it.
yeah, they
So,
definitely
like,
just prefer hands off.
yeah, and hands off is better, right? When we were first playing Counter-Strike, I remember turning up and going to events, and every single event would have a different format. Obviously, went for MR12, MR15s. I've done MR9 fucking way back when, like having 16k money. I think that was the CGS days, wasn't it, Chad? When it was all that shit.
what a fucking joke that was.
Yeah, but I mean, like people experimented, and that's how we got to where we are now. Valve do not need to be hands-on, and I think Valve, if they were hands-on, it would be to not a detriment because they're smart people, but if it was too hands-on, we wouldn't have such a cool fucking open circuit where we see a lot of these tier 2, tier 3 events.
Yeah.
Now, some people can make the argument, and I've seen it before, where they're like, oh, well, it stops all the scammy things, like the UM League, for example, right? Where people don't get paid and shit like that, but actually this shit would still involve, it would still happen regardless of what Valve could try to do. And the same thing like you were saying about cheats there. What was that guy in fucking China that got arrested and put to jail because he was literally making all the fucking cheats? Like, if people want to make cheats for stuff, it's the same as hackers. If they want to get in your fucking PC, they get in your fucking PC. You can have every best antivirus software in the world. These fuckers are smart as shit. They're on their job.
The thing is, it's back and forth, right? They develop a new cheat, the anti-cheat figures out a way
like
to counteract it, and then it's just like it keeps going back and forth, right? Keeps evolving, and that's just how things work.
Yeah,
It's just impossible to get ahead of it. Basically, that like there's no getting ahead of the curve when you don't know what's the next thing they'll try to exploit. Basically,
I know we're like could all be extremely biased, but I can't name another esports that, not in just terms of longevity, because there's ones that have been around a lesser time but still have great viewership and great events, but there is nothing as unique and as engaging and as overall kind of as like tactically in depth as a game as you can get as Counter-Strike, and that's because things aren't forced upon us. Valve didn't go and put out like, you must play 1 minute round time and you must only have 5 seconds to buy, and like you can only use these weapons or shit like that. Like, this was all discovered ourselves. Where you look at, like, say, I don't know, League of Legends, for example. I'm not well versed in where League of Legends is at now, and it's a great game, it's very popular, but all that stuff was massively defined, right? Everyone had that kind of stuff given. Like,
the thing is,
theirs didn't grow from a grassroots in the same way as what CS did, because when CS first came around at the very beginning, there was no tournaments, there was no, like, everyone just did what they wanted to do.
And that's not even close. It's just like everybody has to have a license from Riot to even do like any tournaments and everything like that.
Yeah.
You don't really have such an easy way as you do in Counter-Strike to get your way into the top.
I can run a tournament tomorrow if I've got fucking $1 million. If someone wants to give me some money, we will make a tournament, and
that's the thing. Like the opportunities that you get in CS are just like unrivaled compared to any other game, basically, just because of how indirectly, but because of how Valve have been hands off and now try to work into our system too much.
I want to make we're going to go on another tangent here. I'm sorry, everybody. These things are just on my brain right now. My brain is dying, so it's just spewing all these things. I used to be somebody who would be an advocate for this when I was a player as well, and that was like having an international for Counter-Strike, and I see a lot of people still want that. But just so you guys are aware, what Valve did with Dota is actually fuck the rest of their circuit, and that's why they're now taking steps backwards, and they're having to facilitate their minors a major system, and they're having to do all these other different things with points to make teams attend certain events to be able to go to the bigger ones, because they actually just made it so that you only wanted to attend one event a year, and that's what Astralis would do,
right? They just rock up to the invitation,
just win
the 20 million, and then disappear for the year, and then come back again and do it all over.
Exactly. So the international as a concept is amazing, and our majors are starting to. The more teams that get added, sure, maybe you dislike the fact that there's segregation between like the first 16 teams and the second 16 teams, or the first 16 and then the second 8, or whatever you want to look at it like that. You can obviously, there's so many things to critique, and you can sit here and talk about moon different formats and pull them out of your ass like Kane did with that article he wrote, which actually has no contextual basis for what this bit. Mate, I can write an article about a format. I can build you the greatest format ever.
He was high as shit when he wrote that.
The point of this is that I think that we're kind of like, if you compare us to Dota had the international, which is cool and grabs all the eyes and stuff, and it doesn't have the word terrorist, so it's always going to get Mercedes as a sponsor when Counter-Strike can't. Yeah. But Counter-Strike still has the best circuit. Like, it might be really demanding, but at the same time, nobody makes me go to every tournament. Nobody makes the players besides the owners go to every tournament, and if that's negotiated in their contract, then they sign to do that, right? So
mouse sports.
I just think that I like our majors could have more prize money, but you wouldn't want it to have too much more, because then what you start to do is you start to put a lot of pressure on the TOs, and then you start to make them redundant, and then if they don't have enough money to run tournaments all year round, then we lose our circuit, right? And then you've got another thing, like people are like, oh, why don't Valve do 128 tick matchmaking servers? I understand why you want that, but why would Valve go around and put a gun to the fucking head of ESEA and FACEIT and all these other people that have popped up and made businesses off of their game and have done so much for their game and have
fuck you, we've got better now.
It's like the Valve would just come along and go, well, you did all the hard work, you guys established all of these things, and we'll just fucking take it away from you. Yeah. Why would Valve do that? It's like, you think about it as as a relationship between all these different parties coming together, right? I understand all these things that are problems. I understand the cheaters in matchmaking. I understand that we'd all like more content every now and again. And there's definitely a trade-off to be made there, but I'm just getting old because I'm no longer a biased motherfucker, but I'm starting to look at things with more of an open view, and I'm still going to ask questions. And about this economy thing, I'm one of the most vocal people about it because of what I addressed earlier. I'm always going to stand there opposed to certain things, and I'm always going to even if I'm wrong, in hindsight, I'm happy to say I'm wrong, just so everyone's aware. I just we need to just be critical thinkers because we're in a pretty good position. Anyway, we got
a couple of questions. We're in a really good fucking position, by the way, in terms of look at where our esports is. We're in 2019. Look how many events there are. Look how many people make a living from this, and how it all works out. And it's been a rough ride at times, but it's made it at the end, and it's made it because of the community and because decisions being made. Now, one thing I've got to ask you guys is, I don't know if this was said or this is what someone just wrote in chat. It says, what about the thing Device said? He said, rename the teams to defense and offense to get all the sponsors. Like,
you still shoot people with it. Look, dude, I can see like that being the first step, but the problem is you're still shooting people with an AK. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's still guns. That is a massive issue globally, or just like a massive point of discussion globally, and that is a problem for a lot of these endemic sponsors. Yeah. So like, I feel like that would just, like, if we start there, we're just gonna continue on to like changing the guns to some BB, whatever, Nerf guns and shit like that.
Paintball bullets, yeah, exactly. Or some shit.
Like, dude, CS 1.6 had the paintball thing, and that was actually pretty fun, by the way.
Yeah.
But
CS Online had that as well.
I feel like to attract these endemic sponsors, you would have to change the game completely, like the way it looks and the way.
But also, we're not short of money, and look at this. Some teams don't even care for the prize money anymore, right? The salaries are there, and it's more the competition. Like, I think you mentioned it before, Chad, on one of the shows, is how many tournaments now where the prize money is not the focus in promoting the tournament, right? It is the teams. It is where we've got stuff going on. It's what's happening in terms of the actual show that's being taken part of. And yes, 500k is an amazing amount of money and all that stuff. These players will want to win it, but there is so much money being regularly put around here that I don't really think we need to be like getting these non-endemic sponsors. Maybe for teams and organizations, yes, but you look at Cloud9, they fucking did it off the back of other games as well.
Yeah, look, it'd be nice, right? But it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah, we're not here starving.
Yeah, it definitely would be nice, but like when you see the Dota events with Mercedes and they're fucking all rolling in and all their shuttles are Mercedes and the MVP prizes are Mercedes, you kind of sit there and you go, fuck, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I'm not even a player and I still like, I'm like, fuck, that's a pretty sick little thing to have. But it's not a bad. I get what you're saying, Striker. Like, it's like, where do we draw the line? But like now, I very rarely find myself saying like terrorist, right? Like, I will say it, and I have said it, and like when I scripted some of those videos for ESO, like I said terrorist, but I say more so like T and CT, right? So it's kind of already neutered in a way.
It's not like I'd have an issue with like saying offense, defense. I do already. Like when I write whatever post-match reports and stuff, like I often like put offense and defense as a synonym for terrorists and counter-terrorists, whatever. I already use it myself. It's just, like where is that going to lead?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it would help. I don't see it helping. That's the thing.